Hello, hello, hello. We are back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. And
Slim Shady.
I am joined by Slim Shady himself, the birthday boy, Mr. Bush Enjoyer. What's poppin', yo?
What's up?
How do the kids greet one another these days? What are the hip new greetings?
They probably just like walk up to each other and like grab each other's dicks and shake them. And...
I think there's a Pepe that signifies this.
Yeah.
The dick handshake.
Yeah, right.
Well, happy birthday, man.
Thank you. My kids got me a birthday present. It's a T-shirt, and it has SpongeBob and Patrick on the back, which is pretty cool. But then it says adulting, and adulting is one of those millennial words that I hate.
It's so perfect.
But that's what they got me, so I guess I'm leaning into it.
That is
the cringe.
That's honestly a really good troll gift for you. Like if someone wanted to troll you, give you a gift. Not only are they giving you a gift, which you don't like in the first place.
Right.
They're giving you a gift that you're obligated to wear and enjoy that makes you physically cringe every time you wear it.
Yeah. Just won't think too hard about it.
I will definitely not remind you of it regularly.
But whatever.
All right. Well, sorry we're getting started a little late here. We're going to just jump right into it because I already did 2 hours earlier this morning. Go listen to the Astrolabe if you haven't already. This is a stream that we've promised you for a couple weeks now. The Tucker Carlson interview of the true statesman Nayib Bukele. Cooper, before we jump into this, do you have any thoughts related to this or anything else? Maybe you should tell people about the limbic.
Nah.
Okay.
Just stay posted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to set any expectations.
You're an expectation subverter. It's even better when there's not any expectations in the first place to subvert.
Yeah. I want like the expression I am going for, or that I'd like to imagine, will be on the followers' faces, is one of confusion, maybe disappointment and embarrassment, and yeah, something like that.
Like, I don't want to be seen in public watching this. I've got to put my headphones on.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Well, stay posted, everyone.
Stay posted.
The Olympic is
coming soon.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I know that the people who show up for specific topical episodes like this get real grumpy when we have too much banter at the beginning.
Do you want to banter some more?
Yeah, maybe we should. I teased them with it. They thought it was coming.
How's the weather?
It's hot and gross.
Yeah,
I think our gardeners are here. I hear lawnmowers, which means Eastwood's probably really happy. He's going through a natural disasters kick now. So he's now watching videos about natural disasters and learning all about them.
Like tornadoes and stuff?
Yeah. Earthquakes, cometary impacts. He might be ready for Space Santa. Very soon. Begin indoctrinating him young.
Well, I guess let's get this going. I got other things I got to do today. Birthday and everything.
All right. So, Tucker Carlson. If you're not keeping up with Tucker Carlson's interviews he's putting out lately, you're missing some bangers. He's been doing a lot of interesting things, talking to some various different people, and he landed the interview with Nayib Bukele in person in El Salvador. And first of all, this is a fantastic setup. Like the framing of the shot is really, really good. And this is a very interesting conversation. The title of it was Seeking God's Wisdom, Taking Down MS-13 and His Advice to Donald Trump. And this is only an hour long. We're just going to listen through it. I've got it set on 1.5x, so apologies to those of you who tend to listen fast. Yeah, we're going to just watch it and commentate on various things we think of as we go along. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it.
Thanks, Tucker.
At Camp David, which is beautiful. So you were inaugurated 2 days ago. This is a small country, and yet your inauguration was international news, was everywhere. Why? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's a shock for us too. I mean, we knew that a lot of people were coming, and I mean that will draw some attention. Of course, we had big delegations from 110 countries. So of course that would draw news, because if a chancellor comes from a country, then he brings his media team and that would create some news over there. And if a president comes or a king comes, that would create some news. Even you came, so that creates some news. But
why were they coming?
Well, I don't know, different reasons, of course. I could ask you, why did you come, right?
I came because I think something remarkable is happening here. That's why. But I'm interested in why you think people came.
Yeah, different reasons. Definitely different reasons. For example, the U.S. Government sent a big delegation, but then we had also a delegation from Congress.
Yes.
They started as a Republican delegation, but then the Democrats jumped in the wagon, and we had a bipartisan delegation from Congress. So, it's like, so it adds up. I don't know at the end what happened, but I think that it's like how how stars are born. They say that the debris starts joining up, and if they become an asteroid. But if more debris joins up, it becomes a planet, because the gravitational pull. The more debris comes up, it becomes a star, because then the gravitational pull is too big. So that's called critical mass. So I don't know. Sometimes just because God wants it like that, or just a stroke of luck or whatever, you get some critical mass in something you're doing, and then it becomes bigger than the sum of all of its parts. So I don't know. Probably you got some critical mass that we didn't foresee.
Yes.
You have any initial thoughts? One thing that I was struck by when it first started was, first of all, I didn't realize that I didn't know he spoke English this fluently, and then I also didn't know that he spoke English this fluently and also could speak at. There's like layers to learning a language where you have like you could speak the language, but you may not necessarily be really agile with the different concepts and stuff in the language, speaking in analogies and that sort of thing. But he's very obviously been speaking English for a very long time, which is not uncommon in Central America. He's been speaking English for a very long time, and he has a very good grasp of it, and is able to. He's a compelling speaker in his own right, and his way to be kind of diplomatic and present ideas and hint at things without necessarily saying them explicitly. So just right off the bat, I was struck by how his ability to draw this analogy together and build it out. It's evidence of a very strong, agile mind, of an actual serious person who's well read.
Is that of all countries in the hemisphere, El Salvador seemed in the toughest shape, or close to the bottom in the rankings for everything.
Yes.
Lacking abundant natural resources, etc.
And since the country was born.
Is that true?
Yes, I mean the country has been poor since it was born. Yeah, lacking everything basically.
Lacking everything,
yes.
With a dense population, a lot of people packed in.
Yeah.
So how did you change it? I guess I'll cut right to it. If you can fix El Salvador, what are the lessons for the rest of us? What did you do first?
Well, of course, you cannot do anything if you don't have peace, right? And when I say peace, I include war, civil wars, invasion, crime. I mean, you need to have peace. You need to be able to move freely, to have your basic rights respected.
This reminds me here of Moldbug, where he wrote about order, like he talks about order as being like the fundamental thing. Basically, whatever provides order is necessary, because in order to have anything else, you have to first have order. He described it as peace, but he's speaking about it in very much the same way.
Starting with the right to live, the right to move, the right to have property. So you need your basic rights to be respected. So you need peace. That's the first thing a society will struggle to achieve. And once you achieve peace, then you can struggle for all the other things, like infrastructure, wealth,
yes.
Well-being, quality of life. But you have to start with peace. So we had to start with peace. And in the case of El Salvador, we're literally the murder capital of the world.
Yes.
And we turned it into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. We're safer than any other country in the Western Hemisphere, which just knows it was. If I would have said that 5 years ago, they would say that I was crazy, right?
Yes.
Because this was literally the most dangerous country in the whole world.
Your capital is now safer than our capital in Washington.
Yes. And the country is safer than the United States as a whole.
Yes.
The U.S. murder is around 6 murders per 100,000 inhabitants, and our murder rate is 2. So we're safer than Canada, safer than Chile, safer than Uruguay, safer than the U.S., safer than any country in the Western Hemisphere. There are countries in the other hemisphere that are safer than El Salvador, but not in the Western Hemisphere.
So you did that in just a couple of years.
I also notice he has a. You could tell he's not just reciting talking points that like reinforcing talking points from the media or whatever, but he actually has. He knows the numbers off the top of his head. He knows the specific context for those numbers immediately off the top of his head. The impression that I get watching him is just like it's like I'm listening to a CEO talking about how he built his company. This could be, he could just be like the CEO of some new startup, founder and CEO of startup El Salvador. And he's describing the process whereby he started the company, launched it, built it, scaled it, that sort of thing.
Yes, we did that basically in 3 years.
So what? Just bottom line for us. What's the formula?
Well, I can tell you the official formula and the real formula.
Okay.
So the official formula is that we did a plan. I mean, we did a plan. It's not when I say official, I mean it's a lie. It's just the official one. We did a plan that was comprised of phases. So we roll up the first phase, then the next one, and then gangs started attacking back. So we had to roll up everything at once, like in a hurry. So and it worked. It worked. In a couple of weeks, the country was transformed because the gangs were not yet arrested. They were on the run. So we had.
The plan here, you can look it up. You can look up Bukele's plan for El Salvador. We did an episode as well, reading through Ben Braddock's paper about everything going on with Bukele. That was published in Nayibs 1776. That episode's probably maybe two or 3 months ago, something like that. But the plan, there was actually a plan. They had literally like point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. And if I recall right, it was a 7-step plan or a 7-point plan. And the first 6 points were all, these are the different steps that we're going to take to solve these problems using the existing law and existing institutions and basically giving the system an opportunity to reboot itself. And then point 7 was unknown. Well, I don't remember if it was 7 points. I think it was 7 points. Whatever it was, the last point was unknown. Perhaps nobody will ever know what the last point was. But this is a very well executed plan that was done with a lot of foresight and a lot of planning and a tremendous amount of logistical support from other people.
We basically, in the roll-up of phase 6, we basically pacified the country in a couple of weeks.
How do you do that? How do you pacify a country?
Well, the phases included building up of the police forces, the army. We doubled the army. We literally doubled the army to fight crime, to use the army to fight crime. And we equipped them before, like soldiers who didn't have useful guns or vehicles, drones, basic things that an operation of that magnitude would need. So yeah, we roll up the phases and then we went after them.
Okay, so that's the official. That's the official.
Yeah, that's the official.
What's the real?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
I love that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a miracle. When gangs started attacking us back, basically they killed 87 people in 3 days, which for a country of 6 million people, it's crazy. Would be the equivalent.
6 million people. It's kind of a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Seems like too much.
Yeah. Probably overestimated, inflated a little bit by narrative.
Yeah. But, it's a good round number, I guess.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Probably has some historical precedent.
Yeah.
What a strange number.
Curious.
60 times would be the equivalent of having 5,000 deaths in 5,000 murders in the U.S. in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were in a meeting, and when it started, not when it ended, but when we started, we were in a meeting at my office, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just watching, what was happening and trying to figure out what to do. Because
hold on a second. How did you do that math?
87 people in 3 days, which for a country of 6 million people, it's crazy. Would be the equivalent 60 times would be the equivalent of having 5,000 deaths in 5,000 murders in the U.S. in 3 days.
So he did 60. So the U.S. population is 60 times the El Salvador population, and then 60 times. So he did 60 times 80, 95. Okay, wow. I wonder if he had those numbers prepared ahead of time, but it looked like he thought about it on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were in a meeting, and when it started, not when it ended, but when it started, we were in a meeting at my office, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just watching, what was happening and trying to figure out what to do. Because the problem with gangs is that they don't only attack their objectives. When they want to create terror, they can attack anyone. So they can actually kill their grandma.
Yes.
And it's your victim.
Yes.
Because they don't care about their grandma. You care about their grandma, so it's your victim. It's like if they kill the grandma, you have one death, and they have they achieved the terror that they want to create. So they can kill anybody. A woman walking by, a guy working in the street, a taxi driver, they can kill anybody. And if the state goes after them, the state has no intention of killing or harming anybody but the gang members. So you have 70,000 objectives, which were the 70,000 gang members, but they have 6 million possible targets. So it was almost an impossible task.
It's a guerrilla war, really.
Yes, but it was an impossible task because you have to go after them. They were intertwined with the population. They were everywhere, and they were killing randomly. So how do you stop them? So we really tried to figure out what to do, and I basically said, well, I mean, it's we're looking into an impossible mission here. So we pray, and we.
You prayed in the meeting?
Yes, of course, several times. Yeah.
What did you pray for?
To wisdom, to win the war, to have. I thought at the time that we would have civilian casualties, so we said we prayed that the civilian casualties would be as low as possible, and we didn't have any civilian casualties.
And was everyone in the meeting comfortable with that?
Yes. All my security cabinet are believers. They all believe in God. We're a secular country, of course, but we all believe in God. So, yeah.
MS-13 is one of the major gangs.
And they are satanic also.
That was my question. So very little.
Sorry.
No. But I hope you'll explain it because very little has been written in the West about this.
They're satanics.
But actually, literally, can you explain?
Well, they didn't start as a satanic organization. They MS-13 started in Los Angeles, in the U.S., because Salvadorans weren't allowed to sell drugs by the Mexican gangs. So they created a gang that was called the 18th Street Gang, because they basically wanted to sell drugs in a street that was 18th Street over there. But then division started to they started dividing themselves and started infighting. So they created MS-13. And then MS-13 started outgrowing the other gangs, and they started exporting the organization to other parts of the U.S. And when Bill Clinton decided to deport those guys, he didn't tell our government at the time, I'm deporting this criminal. They just sent them here. And they came, there were few, but unchecked. At the same time, some laws were passed to protect minors from imprisonment. And of course, the gangs used that to recruit 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. So at the beginning it was, some youth causing harm, assaulting, trying to control their territory, selling drugs. Things that are bad, but probably not critical. But they grew, and they started controlling territories. A few years later, they were actually a huge international criminal organization that they had bases in Italy, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, the U.S. Basically, a lot of major cities in the U.S. would have strongholds.
Right outside Washington, D.C.
Yes, of course. And you have in Long Island and
yes.
In L.A. It's a huge criminal international organization. So they grew and they started killing more people to just get territory or to fight against rival gangs or to collect debts or money or whatever. But as the organization grew, they became satanic. They started doing satanic rituals. I don't know exactly when that started, but it was well documented.
Yes.
And in our arrest, we've even found authors and things like that.
Yes, I've seen.
And so they became a satanic organization. And even when sometimes when you interview gang members that are in prison, they would say, I'm out of the gang. Of course, they're in prison, but they say, I'm not a member of the gang anymore. And when they ask them why, I remember the news outlet that made it this but it's a very well-known news outlet that made this interview with a gang member in prison. We allowed them to go into prisons and do the interviews. And the guy that they asked him, how many people have you killed? And he said, I don't remember. He didn't remember how many. Probably 10, 20. He didn't remember. And then they asked him, and what is your position in the gang? He explained how he went up in positions, but I left the gang. I said, why did you left the gang? And he said, well, because I was used to kill people, but I killed for territory. I killed to collect money. I killed for extortion. But I came to to this house, and they were about to kill a baby. And the killer, they killed tens of people, said, oh, wait, what are we doing? Why are we going to kill that baby? And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby. So we had to give him a baby. So he said that he couldn't resist that. So he left the gang. He's in prison because he's a killer, but he left the gang because he couldn't tolerate what he was seeing.
So human sacrifice was a part.
Well, in the United States a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, I don't remember exactly, I saw the news that they were going to kill a young girl, or they killed a young girl, I don't exactly remember, because it was a satanic ritual. What happened in the U.S. a couple of weeks ago?
You may have come to the obvious conclusion that the real...
So, thoughts to this point, Cooper?
Satanic rituals, altars, human sacrifice. But don't you know, Matt? It's It's immoral for the state to initiate aggression.
Yeah. Yeah, human rights abuses, right?
Yeah, right.
All these guys that were killing babies because the beast demanded them. When he lined them up in their underwear and sat them nuts to butts on the floor of a prison. That was a human rights abuse.
That was a mercy. It was
Yes.
much too lenient for people.
Yes.
Like that.
No kidding. I remember hearing, and he maybe says it in this one, or maybe he says it in another interview somewhere. He mentioned that I just lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about? It was
Much too lenient.
much too lenient. Oh, he said that they did scoop up some innocent people. Like there were innocent people who were collected along with the gang members, and that they were identified and processed and released.
The notion that like was kind of this. It's one of these things that we take for granted, having grown up in a liberal democracy or whatever you want to call the U.S. At least that's the story, that we're a liberal democracy. But there's one of these, kind of enlightenment. I'm not sure who said it. I don't know, probably some Frenchman. You'll probably know who said this. But
Real debate is not between.
I would rather. The quote goes something like, "I'd rather have 10 criminals go free than one innocent man be thrown in prison."
Uh-huh.
And we take like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. It's like, no, it's probably better that one innocent person gets thrown in prison if 10 actual criminals are in prison.
Right.
Or your society's going to fall apart real quick.
Right. That's one of those things that's like, it's like a great Hallmark card quote, but then you think about it and you're like, wait a second. So you're saying that it would be better to have 10 guys roaming around creating more victims than to have one victim. What?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It would be better to have more victims than to have one victim. What?
Well, when you phrase it like that.
Right. Because there's like this latent assumption that, if those 10 criminals go free, then it's just like, these are people who did bad stuff in the past, but now they don't do bad stuff. So they're just not being punished. And so it's like, it's better if we don't punish them. If it's better if we don't punish them, if that means that we also don't punish one guy who doesn't deserve it. But this isn't just about punishment. It's about like people who are like this don't have them. They don't get to be free. People that behave in antisocial, brutal, victimizing ways, they don't get to be free. There is no human right for that sort of behavior.
Yeah, human rights they're not real anyway, but no civil rights for demons.
Yes. $5 Canadian from Slosher. What's up, man? He says, I can't relate to people who empathize with these monsters over innocent victims. They spend their limited outrage in an interesting way. Yeah. Unfortunately, most people are not very bright. Taylor Brown says, I could maybe understand that in terms of the death penalty, but if it's just for prison terms, then definitely agree. Yeah. That is one of the most... I've gone back and forth with the death penalty in my life, and I've been very ardently pro and very ardently against, and now I'm probably more generally pro. But that's the most compelling thing to me is like, if you're going to have a death penalty, how do you ensure that it's one thing if you accidentally scoop up someone and they have to spend some time in prison and maybe they get in a gang fight or something like that. But it's another thing if you're actually killing them. But even then, I know that if someone is killed unjustly, that for their own sake, it's not as bad for them as it is going to be for the people who did it to them.
Yeah, right.
You will not regret it.
So that's almost never described in English language press as clearly as you just described it.
No, which is weird, right?
Well, you sort of wonder why.
Yeah.
If there's a spiritual component that's driving it, why not just say so?
Yes.
But I guess my point is you saw it as that.
Yes, of course. There's a spiritual war and there's a physical war. And the physical war could be, that's the unofficial.
Yes.
That's the unofficial version. The spiritual, if you win the spiritual war, it will reflect into the physical war. So I think our I don't know how to call it, our impressive victory was because we won the spiritual war very, very fast.
Well, that leads me. I didn't
Because
This is a head of state, the most like the most up and coming head of state, saying there's a spiritual war and a physical war, and if you win the spiritual war, you will win the physical war. This is profound. This is a significant moment. We get to bear witness to a significant moment in history.
you didn't have competition. I mean, they were satanic. I think that made it easier.
In your inaugural, and I was listening on headphones for the translations, I just want to check this. You said, we have achieved this great victory and made this a safe country, and that's the predicate for everything that follows. And the next thing we're going to do in this term is to work in the economy and make it better.
Grow the economy. Yeah.
And you said, correct me if I'm wrong, I have a 3-point plan. I'm thinking, oh, that is, I don't know, start a Federal Reserve Bank? And you said the first point of my plan is seek God's wisdom.
Yes.
That is what you said.
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
Why would that be the first point of economic
What would it be? What should be the first part of it?
Well, I think it should be.
Yeah.
But I can't.
And most people think that, right?
I've never heard any leader of any country say that.
Because they probably forgot to represent the people that elect them. Yeah. It's like you ask most of the people that elect the politicians, they say, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I believe that. But then you ask a politician, he was no, that's not. I mean, so who is he trying pandering to? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right?
Do you think
it's a common sense thing to seek God's wisdom?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a prerequisite for wise decision making.
Yes, exactly. So that's the first part of our plan.
It makes me laugh. Do you think?
We're getting some good Tucker laughs in here. I think this is a also interesting. You get Tucker's little comments he inserts here that are interesting and revealing about Tucker's mindset. The fact that he really hones in on this, so he really highlights it. It really stands out to him, and he wants to really squeeze this subject for all the juice he can get out of it. And he says himself, "Yeah, I think this is the right plan as well." The whole conversation is very revealing for both of them. Taylor said, is Bukele Catholic? I thought I read somewhere he might be Muslim. Brody says Bukele is ambiguous. His wife is Jewish. His ancestors Orthodox and Catholic and Protestant. Yeah. His wife is Sephardic. And then I want to say his grandparents are Greek Orthodox. And I think he's Palestinian ethnically. So he's a very interesting mix of backgrounds. Bukele seems based. Yes, indeed.
I think that that's one of the reasons that your successes, which are just measurable, I'm not saying this for ideological reasons, but just a fact that you've transformed the country in a good way and that you're literally the most popular elected leader in the world. Again, not speculation, provable fact. You'd think that would be greeted in the hemisphere as this amazing thing, like what's going on in El Salvador, and instead, there's been this, what's going on in El Salvador?
Yeah.
There's been hostility.
Yes.
Do you think that's why?
I'm not sure, but one of the reasons is that we don't pander to them. So probably they don't like that. It's probably a reason. It's like there's, I'm not going to go into conspiracy theory. I'm going to go into provable facts, right? Like you said. So there's worldwide agendas, right? These are provable facts, right? They have benchmarks that they need the countries to follow and they need the countries to do. This is out there, right? But sometimes if you work on those things, you're probably neglecting the important things for your people, the things that your people are really asking for. Give you an example. When we arrested the gang members that were killing so much people that we were the murder capital of the world, literally the most dangerous place in the whole world, more dangerous than Haiti, right? More dangerous than Iraq. This was literally the most dangerous country in the world. We have triple the amount of the murder rate that Haiti has right now. With all the mayhem that they have, we have tripled that here. So
I can't even comprehend that. The murder rate that Haiti has currently in their current state, El Salvador's murder rate was triple that. This is not a large country. It's a very small country. So the impact of each individual murder is probably more significant. Come on.
What do you have to do? You have to stop that, right? And it's a no-brainer. I mean, you don't even need to have a big thought process. You have to stop that. That's the first thing you have to do. When we did that, we got huge condemnations. You name it. Say organization, we got a condemnation from them. So and a lot of them were human rights organizations. And you would ask, what about the human right of a woman not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to play or to be free or to go to the park? And what about the human right to live? The human right to walk in the street, right? And But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers, which, they have human rights. I don't say they don't. They're humans. But if you have to prioritize, what will you prioritize?
Yes.
Right? The human rights of honest, hardworking, decent people, not the human rights that they do have. But you won't prioritize the human rights of the killers and rapists and murderers. And so we secured the country, and we did it with no help from any other country, and with huge condemnation in everything that we were doing. Everything. I mean, we changed the attorney general. We got so much condemnation because we changed the attorney general that we need to change to prosecute the murderers. So we basically they tried to block every step of what we were doing, and now it's that the results are there. It's they're tangible, measurable, undeniable. Now they don't know what to do, because a lot of other countries are saying, maybe a lot of other countries similar to ours, they have similar problems. They're saying maybe we should do that too, but they don't want that because that's not in their agenda.
But I guess that's why I came here, to be totally honest, is what your success says about the country that I live in, or other countries in the hemisphere or in Europe, where people are killed by the thousands every year. And what you've proven with very little money and no help from anyone else is it's not that hard to fix. Therefore, all that killing must be a voluntary decision that my government and many other governments are making about their own citizens.
You can make that logical.
Well, I don't know what other conclusion to reach. If El Salvador can do it, what's going on here?
Yes, you can make that logical conclusion. I think that's probably.
It's one of the things that makes Tucker such a good interviewer. He knows how to ask. He knows how to press the questions. He knows the stuff that's important that people want to hear, and how to flesh them out. And then he does he inserts kind of his personal thoughts and sums up what he's saying and the implications of what he's saying in a really compelling way.
Yeah, and he puts it on himself. He says, "These are just my thoughts."
Yeah,
and then sums up the other guy's thoughts and the implications. Yeah, so that he's really good at doing that, allowing the other person to kind of save face.
Right. It's very disarming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then if you listen to Tucker's long form stuff, Rip here says Tucker Unchained seems much better as well. Yeah, Tucker is listen. I'm telling you, go listen to Tucker Carlson's long form interviews, whether it's him interviewing someone else or him being interviewed. He's really, to a large degree, what you see is what you get with Tucker. He's very, very transparent. He's of all the people in the media, all the major politicians, like every major talking head, he is easily the most authentic. Who's not there's some people that I guess you might say they're authentic, but they're authentically completely deranged. He's one of the ones that is like a decent normal person who really is authentic as he is. And he's got this kind of happy, curious naivete about him that I think is really charming. Taylor Brown, his wiki entries lead me to think he's some sort of quasi-Protestant, but he seems very well read and understands that the battle transcends the tangible into the metaphysical and spiritual. Yep. Yeah, very much. And also, we don't know a lot about the people around him. He's got all the Bitcoin people. He's got the, obviously he's very popular among all the tech libertarians. He's got those people around him. But I don't know, anything about his family or his really where he came from. He just kind of showed up, and is a very interesting. He's just a fascinating person to study.
Probably where they are, because we don't have weapons of mass destruction, right?
No.
So why are they afraid? Why would they take so much time and make condemnations to El Salvador? Right? It doesn't make any sense.
You didn't send a man to the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they're afraid of the example. Because a lot of people might say, hey, we want that too. They can do it with no money, with very few resources, and with a huge problem. Because I heard some people say, oh, El Salvador could do it because the problem was not that big. And we were literally the murder capital of the world. How bigger can it get, right? We were literally the most dangerous place in the world, 3 times more dangerous than Haiti right now. So, what bigger how bigger can the problem get? And at the same time, we had very few resources, and we were able to do it with no civilian casualties. After we started the war on gangs, we had no civilian casualties, and we lost 8 between police officers and soldiers, and we basically eradicated all crime. So, and we arrested 70,000 gang members, which the number is not a number that just came up. That's the official number that all the organizations said we had of gang members. And you can watch the World Bank reports, etc. They said El Salvador has around 70,000 gang members and 500,000 collaborators. So we spared the collaborators basically, and we only got the gang members. Why? Because most of the collaborators were just family members, yes, or the woman that sell tortillas. She had to tell, oh, the police is coming, because if not, she would probably have been killed by the gang. So most of the collaborators were not really criminals, yes, but just people living in a society that was controlled by gangs. The government was the real government was the gangs. Just like in Haiti, you have a fake government, and you have the real government. The government in Haiti is the gangs. it was like that. You had a formal government, of course, with offices and everything, but you have the real government in the territory, which were the gangs.
So, I mean, and I know you want to stick to the facts, but I mean, at some point you do have to, this is a really important question. Why would a government that has the means to end violent crime, not all, there's always crime, people breaking laws, but violent crime, people murdering and raping each other
Yes.
is a voluntary decision that a government makes. Why would a government choose to have that?
I don't know. I can make up theories, but I really
Do you have a gut instinct about it?
I think it's a combination of factors like everything.
Yes.
They might be evil people that that are doing it on purpose, of course, and probably planning stuff. I don't know.
Yes. Possible.
Yeah, possibly. At the same time, there's a lot of people that they just being fed these ideologies.
You catch that little throwaway comment there? Possibly planning stuff as well, and they're like, oh yeah, possibly. They both like. There's one of the things about Bukele is he and Tucker are very similar in this way, where they're able to very honestly and authentically talk about something, but they know what line not to cross for the sake of maintaining the decorum of the conversation and making it as much publicly palatable as possible while still being like frame breaking to people. Might be planning something else. Yeah. Oh yeah. Old Head Norwood Groiper 2016 says Bukele is likely the most righteous statesman of our day. Indeed.
They might be evil people that that are doing it on purpose, of course, and probably planning stuff. I don't know.
Yes. Possible.
Yeah, possibly. At the same time, there's a lot of people that they just being fed these ideologies and they think they're doing the right thing.
Yes.
Right? Like allowing shoplifting, for example.
Yes.
That's the most stupid thing you can think of. But they do it.
Oh, you don't allow shoplifting here?
No, of course not. So, but you would think, why would anybody think allowing shoplifting would be a good idea?
I don't know.
Why? I mean, that's the stupidest thing to think, right? Or giving away drugs. I said this.
Yes.
Or giving away drugs. Let's give away drugs. Right? It's like very stupid things. And you would guess that some of the people doing and enacting these policies are not necessarily evil. They're just, they've been fed this ideology. They think they're doing the right thing. It's like, I'll give you an example. I think a month ago or something like that. Yeah, like a month. The Spanish police arrested a gang member that had fled El Salvador. So the gang member escaped. He flew. He went to Spain, and with an international operation between the police of our police and the Spanish police and Interpol, they were able to arrest the guy. So in those cases, you need to do an extradition because it's an automatic, international operation. So they just get the guy, process him and send him.
Yes.
Send him to the original police for they file the claim. So the Spanish police was very proud of the arrest. So they put it up in Twitter. So they said, we just arrested this guy. So I quoted the tweet, and I said, great, send him, we'll take care of him, right? So that was used in his court hearing in Spain as a proof that he wouldn't get a fair trial here. So he was protected by Spanish laws, and he stayed there in Spain.
Maybe they don't have enough gang members in Spain.
Exactly. So I don't care if they want to keep him. So it's a mouth that we don't have to feed. It's a mouth that we have to feed, right?
Yes.
But so they can keep him. But the thing is that you would think, why would the Spanish government want an extra gang member?
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not necessarily out of evil. It's just that the laws, the system, the things that are being fed to the judge, to the prosecutor. So they think that that my tweet was too mean, and this gang member, his rights would be not respected, or he wouldn't get a fair trial in El Salvador, so he had to stay in Spain to protect it. I mean, they know he's a killer. They actually arrested him because of that. It was an international operation and everything. They know he probably murdered dozens of people, but they feel they need to protect him.
So what's sad about that?
Isn't that crazy? Like he just fires off a tweet. He's like, nice, send him on over. We'll take care of him. And they're like, wait a second. No. You mean you're going to treat him like a murderer? You're going to treat him like a mass murdering gang member? No. We'll keep him. We need to, checking the list. Looks like we got a shortage in those right now. So it actually works out.
Tucker's like, well, I guess they don't have enough gang members. Like, yeah, keep them. They can take all of them, actually.
Yeah. And Bukele's like, hey, it's another mouth we don't have to feed. So yeah, you keep the gang member. We're happy to take care of him if we need to, but if you want to, okay. I believe that's what they call clown world.
That's a sign that your defense mechanism no longer works.
Yes.
And that your society is dying.
Yes.
And Spain is in my opinion,
Western
wonderful.
civilization is reaching a point into it will start failing.
I think that's obvious to those of us with great sadness, to those of us who live here.
Unless things are done, of course. You can always do
So, okay, two-part question. Why do you think that's happening? Because it is recognizably happening in real time before us. And what can be done at this point to reverse it?
Well, everything everything erodes and degrades. I mean, that's just laws of nature.
Yes.
I mean, we do. That's why we die. We age, we die.
Yes.
You can slow it, right? You can stay fit, diet.
Yeah.
I mean, you're eventually gonna age and die.
Yes.
You cannot avoid that. Same happens with anything. Infrastructure. I had an argument with at the beginning of the government. I had an argument with my Ministry of Public Works, a Minister of Public Works, because there was this neighborhood that was built in an area that you shouldn't build things there. It was a mountain. The soil was basically flour, so it was the mountain was falling and the houses were falling with the mountain. So to save the people, the Ministry of Public Works started building a huge wall to stop the houses from falling, right? So they were building this huge wall, and of course I can't micromanage everything. So when I saw the wall being built, I called the minister and said, "What are you doing? I mean, you won't stop the mountain." And I said, let's build houses for the people somewhere else. It would be cheaper. And he said, no, the wall will be fine. We have engineers from international corporation and everything. It will be fine. So they finished the wall. They now everything. It didn't fall. Don't worry. The way for that plot twist. But I was still angry because I thought that it was a huge waste of money and a lot of risk. That if in the future the wall falls, it'll be on us because we built it, right?
Of course.
So I started pressuring him. Why did you build that wall? Well, the wall, if the wall falls in the future, it will be our fault. And I thought he grew tired of me as the pressuring. He said, well, everything that is made by humans needs maintenance. I mean, of course, if we just leave the wall there, it'll fall in 10, 20, 30 years. But if we give maintenance to the wall won't fall, right? So that stuck on me, not because of the wall itself, but because everything is like that.
Yes.
In a relationship,
yes, that's
plant,
right.
At home, I mean, everything. I mean, your haircut, you need, if you want to maintain it, you need to spend time and resources and effort in maintaining it. So Western civilization, because civilization goes like this.
Yes.
So Western civilization reached the peak. I cannot point exactly where the peak is. It's like timing the market, right?
Yes.
I'm going to buy in the bottom and I'm going to sell at the top. Nobody can do that, right? And so I don't know exactly where was the peak, but we can all agree that we're in the decline.
Yes.
So that is happening because we're not giving the correct maintenance to the civilization. Why? What made the West the leader in the world at the time we're living right now? What caused that to happen? A lot of things, like importing the scientific process, started developing science,
yes.
Focusing, putting a lot of money into art, into science, into trying to build the best things and as fastest and as best and as great as possible, and importing wisdom and technology and trying to develop new technology and trying to But suddenly, when you get wealthy, happens with families too.
Yes, it does.
Then people probably get spoiled, or they get I want more things. I want that. I want this. You to provide me that. And politicians. The problem. I mean, democracy is great, right? The U.S. has proven that democracy can work. But the problem with democracy, because everything has pros and cons. The problem with democracy is that politicians have a great incentive to.
What's that?
It seems a comment like that, especially given his actions, seems to suggest that he's paying lip service, but he's like talking out both sides of his mouth. Like,
yes.
See, the U.S. has proven that democracy can work, right? And he's saying
yes.
it perfectly straight-faced. But I think I know what you're doing.
If I remember right, I think he has the phrase that sums this up perfectly. I'll highlight it if he actually says it, and if he doesn't, before they move on, then I'll say what it is. Two-Bit said Civ Capital is being explained. Yes, the civilizational capital model, the whole thing that Jason was beginning to excavate, that we've talked so much about. This is precisely what he's talking about. This is at this point in the conversation, it became really clear to me that he's a philosopher king. This is not just he's a very interesting CEO style personality, and you kind of get a little bit of a look into his management style, with this story with the wall and everything, and the way he his pragmatic instinct is it's going to cost more to maintain this wall than it would to just build something somewhere else. So just go build something somewhere else. It's also interesting
just let the mountain, just be a mountain and building a giant retaining wall.
Yeah, right.
And rebuilding these people's houses over and over and maintaining this wall for the next ever.
Right.
It's like moving like a mile that way.
And he's talking about this. It reminds me of Elon. I was talking about Elon's management style yesterday. Oh, come on. I was afraid of that.
What's up?
They hang on just a second.
Oh, did the stream get taken down?
It got blocked. So when this happened last time, we're still streaming on Twitter, but when this happened last time, it blocked the stream and it won't, but I don't think it ended it. It would pick it back up again if we stopped. However, we've got to keep trying to go through it. So we'll, let me drop the link for the Twitter stream. Gonna drop the link for Twitter stream. And the next thing I'm going to try is I'm going to see if I could just take the clip afterwards and just re-upload it. Will it just demonetize it or will it take it down?
That's a good question.
And if it does take it down, then I'm going to challenge it under fair use, because this is absolutely fair use. And a lot of those things are.
Are you playing that off of YouTube or off of Twitter?
It was streaming to both of them.
No,
so
I
I'm
mean playing the clip. Where's the clip that you're sharing?
Oh, off of YouTube.
Okay, that seems to be the when you've showed long form stuff that's like on Twitter. I've noticed you haven't had any problems like that in the past. So maybe this is an interview with Tucker. I'm sure you could have found the full interview on Twitter. Maybe going forward, trying to
that's true.
keep it to Twitter, because YouTube just seems to be especially school marmish.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with we're live now again. So it does that. Once you stop streaming it, it'll kick the live stream back on again. Yeah, so as soon as I start streaming it again, it's probably going to end the YouTube stream again. And so for those of you who are watching on YouTube, just go over to Twitter if you want to keep watching. We're going to experiment with a couple things going forward to try to prevent this from happening. Sometimes channels will do it, sometimes they won't. It took us like an hour of streaming before it took it down this time.
I don't understand.
Yeah, me neither.
And I don't understand, because like the last section of clip that you were sharing from the last time we talked till this most recent time we talked, that was like 30 seconds, when prior to that you had like 7 minutes playing or something, and they had no problem.
Right.
So,
all right.
Which one of you dickheads reported us? Who did it?
Yeah, right.
You are so banned when I find out who you are.
I wonder if so we're streaming a YouTube video on YouTube. I wonder if YouTube has a way of identifying that beyond just like the audio. Because if it's a video and you have the same video uploaded to Twitter and uploaded to YouTube, if we stream the one on Twitter, it's going to be the same audio, but will YouTube still take it down? I don't know. We'll find out.
Sorry guys, does Twitter save the streams?
Yeah. Yeah, you can go back and rewatch them later, and it's downloaded through Restream as well.
Well, okay, I was gonna say then you could download the stream off Twitter and then upload that to YouTube, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Either way, I'll try uploading it afterwards, and if it goes up, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll have what's on there so far, and then you guys can also listen to this on the podcast later on. But I'm gonna start it playing again. It's probably gonna kill our YouTube stream, so it'll continue to go on X. So I dropped the link for the stream on X. Just go over there and keep watching.
Are you playing it?
Oh, my bad.
The screen, dummy.
Yeah, fucking idiot.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, just stay there.
Just sit here just silently for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. Just start ignoring the chat. All right, here we go.
As fastest and as best and as great as possible, and importing wisdom and technology and trying to develop new technology and trying to But suddenly, when you get wealthy, happens with families too.
Yes, it does.
Then people probably get spoiled, or they get I want more things. I want that. I want this. You have to provide me that. And politicians. The problem. I mean, democracy is great, right? The U.S. has proven that democracy can work. But the problem with democracy, because everything has pros and cons. The problem with democracy is that politicians have a great incentive to offer, to give away the treasury.
Yes.
So if I say no, I'm going to keep the treasury, it's because we might need it, for an emergency or something. Nobody would like that. People would like, oh, I'm going to give away the treasury. So they would vote for him. Then another politician, you know what, I'm going to give the treasury plus another treasury. So we're going to go into debt, right? Everybody will say, great, let's receive more money from the treasury. And when I say treasury, I mean, anything, building stuff, giving free stuff, sending checks to people.
COVID relief.
Yeah, exactly. Getting stimulus, whatever. So the politicians have the incentives of just giving away the treasury and entering huge amounts of debt, and that doesn't not only destroys the structure of the government, but it also destroys the structure of society. Because if you give, for example, money, okay, if you don't work, I give you money, right? Or if you can shoplift $1,000 a day and still get some money from the government for food, housing, why would you work? In that store, you'll be shoplifted and probably get in trouble, right? So the incentives are wrong, but it's not only because, there's, maybe they are, but I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories, but it's not only because they're evil politicians or evil people playing, which might be the case, but I won't go into that. But just because things, the incentives are wrong.
Yes.
So even a normal, not evil politician has the incentive to give away the treasury because he needs the votes. I mean, he needs to be elected. That's what he needs, right? He needs the votes.
It's the nature of the system.
Yes, it's the nature of the system.
Pause it.
So the problem is that
Are you guys hearing like static or clipping or anything like that? I'm just trying to figure out if this is just me. Because if it's just me, I'll put up with it. It's still listenable. But do you guys hear any issues with the audio coming from the chat or the clip?
Well, Emmanuel does make a good point here that even if it goes unavailable on YouTube, and it actually just went unavailable again, but we paused it, so it may kick back on again. But if you're watching it on Twitter, you can still stay in the chat here.
Okay, lots of
static.
Okay, it's not just me.
I have no idea why that would be.
Hearing static on Twitter, I'm hearing static. I wasn't hearing it earlier. If I wasn't paying attention to it.
I'm going to, well, let's see here. Let me try sharing the screen again and see if it went away.
Well, this stream has turned into a dumpster fire, hasn't it?
it works. Nobody can say it doesn't.
Is it better?
Because it worked in the United States.
No.
Is it still staticky?
Yeah.
I don't even have the faintest clue what would be causing that. Well, we'll try refreshing the page. So we're at the 35-minute mark.
Can you find the interview on Twitter?
Yeah, I'll try that next if this doesn't work. And we'll see if maybe it's something in the audio itself. All right, so tell me how it sounds now.
The incentives are wrong.
Yes.
So even a normal, not evil politician.
Yeah, still doing it.
Still doing it? Motherfucker. Okay, let's see if we can find the stream on Twitter. Tucker Carlson. Media. Okay.
Guess what? My phone's battery's at 69%.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to share this tab instead.
If you can shoplift $1,000 a day and still get some.
Is that better?
I'm still hearing it. Are you guys still hearing clipping? I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell because I always have issues on my end. So,
well, what could possibly be causing this? All right, you know what? I'm going to kill the YouTube stream and I'll keep the stream up on X, and I'm going to kill the YouTube stream and see if that does it. So if you're watching the YouTube chat, it's going to go away. You'll just have to go watch on YouTube. Sorry about that, guys.